Hey everybody, we've been going through the five little scrolls of the Old Testament, and one of them is the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, I did a series on Ecclesiastes back last summer, and so I just wanted to take a couple days to look at some of the big themes from it, but obviously we're not going to take the time to go through the whole book again. So here's a passage from chapter 9 that I think sums up the book pretty well. Go, eat your food joyfully and drink your wine with a happy heart, because God has already approved of what you do. Let your garments always be white. Don't run short of oil for your head. Enjoy life with your dearly loved spouse all the days of your passing life that have been given to you under the sun. All the days of your passing life. Because that's your lot in this life and in your hard work under the sun. Whatever you find to do, do with all your might. Because there's no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in the grave, which is where you're going. So I think that is a pretty clear statement of the main advice of this book. It's both hopeful and kind of depressing, right? Enjoy life because you're going to die. That's Ecclesiastes in a nutshell. And as I emphasized the last time we looked at this idea of life being passing, right? It's this Hebrew word, hevel. It's the word for a breath. Life it gets translated in lots of different ways, right? The NIV famously, and I think incorrectly, translates it as meaningless, right? Life is meaningless. That's not what this book is saying. Yes, life is short, and yes, there's a lot of things in life that don't make sense, and it's pointing those out and making us wonder why it is that way. But it doesn't mean that life is totally meaningless. It's more that it doesn't last as long as you think, and some of these things that we put our faith in, or we spend all of our time in, they don't last either. Life isn't meaningless unless you look for meaning in things that don't last, which is what we do most of the time. And this book is trying to get us to look past that. And yet, even as so many things in life don't last, there are things in life that we can enjoy. It almost sounds, like hedonism, right? To just say joyfully and enjoy your food and your drink and your spouse and all these things. He's saying that if it's really from God, it's a gift, and God approves of us enjoying it. And so I think we all have to ask ourselves, it's not about whether these things are good or bad, it's about how we use them. Does food or drink or sex, do they help you enjoy life, or are you using them to avoid life? They can be sources of joy, or they can be something that we can use to numb ourselves. We can see them as a gift of God or abuse them as a coping mechanism. That's why it takes wisdom to know how to enjoy these things. But so often, I think the message that we've heard in the church is just to avoid all these things because of the risk of how they could be misused. I think it's also good to hear the advice of don't miss out, because then you'll waste this life. And you know what? Life is short. So enjoy.